Awesome. So, Kate, are you going to do an intro?
Yes. So
Okay.
we are on time, so I guess that we can start. More people will be joining, I guess. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends where you are because it's a virtual session. So I am very happy that everyone can join. I would like to introduce you on our online session about Atlassian Rovo. So one of the hottest topic now and the most promoted product from Atlassian portfolio. Today's session is co-hosted with Atlassian Community Group from Wrocław and from Poznań. So with me, you can see also champions from Poznań, so Marzena, Piotr and Filip. So I'm very happy that we are able to create this session together. And today we have got fantastic guest, Kasia, and she will be talking about Rovo in her organization. During this session, you can leave your questions on chat. We have got also dedicated area called Q&A, so you can also put your questions there. We will be moderated these questions, and I hope that you will have a lot of them, and also Kasia will be glad to answer on them. I hope that we have got very nice discussion after presentation, so I think that now we can start. So Kasia, the stage is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I wanted to mention I met Kate in Los Angeles in this March when Atlassian Team put together a team conference, and I met Philip, I think, last year in the same conference. So this is how kind of this connection came together. So I am thankful for the invitation and being able to join this, to basically share my team's experience as customers of Rovo products. I will show you how we are using it at Pythian. I will talk a little bit about challenges, benefits, and also what the next steps are. So without further ado, I'll jump into some of the intros. So this is what the agenda is going to be like. I'll do some intros of myself, Pythian. We'll talk about what the problem is and what we're trying to solve with Rovo. We'll talk about what Rovo does, what it can offer. I will show you examples of how we're using Rovo at Pythian. We'll talk about the challenges and lessons learned from that implementation, and then we'll give you some sneak peek preview of what we are thinking of doing next. What are the next AI features or functionalities that we are considering? So a little bit about myself. I've been working in IT sector for over 20 years. At the beginning, more on the IT side, then on the data side. Recently, with the AI obviously happening quickly to all of us, that's my next focus of work. I lead a team called Enterprise Data and Applications. I will be adding AI to that title as well soon. And that team, my team, implemented AI solution for Pythian employees over the last year or so. So I'll be sharing also my experience of that journey with you. A little bit about Pythian. It's a global company. We have customers all over the world. We also have employees all over the world. Majority of our employees are in Canada, US, UK, Australia, and India. But we also have individual employees across 26 different countries, including one person in Poland. I'm going to highlight that. So a little bit about Pythian, as in how we're using Atlassian tools, because that's going to be important, how this ties into why we selected Rovo and how we're using Rovo. So Pythian journey with Atlassian started about 10 years ago. And since then, we used numerous apps and keep adding to that Atlassian portfolio. So we're using Jira Jira Service Management, Confluence, Loom. We're using Rovo and Bitbucket, and we're also using a number of add-ons to support or enhance the functionality from those applications. Our user base is about 450 employees. All of them are using Jira and Jira Service Management. So we're talking about service delivery teams, so the teams that support our customers, as well as our internal teams like HR, legal, and marketing. So both the customer-facing and internal teams are using Jira to organize themselves. We have about 30 service delivery teams, and we have about 10 internal teams that use Jira. We managed to give you an idea of the volume. We probably respond to about 1,000 tickets a day from about 400 customers. So there is, as you imagine, it's a busy system with a lot of things happening in it, with a lot of data that gets processed through Jira, a lot of information that flows through it. And as I mentioned, we are not only using Jira for just ticket management or customer service, but we also use it for time tracking, for resource planning, project management, enterprise operations, workflow automation. So basically taking advantage of all of the features in Jira and kind of spanning it across all of our teams. So that's about Jira, but to just also give you an idea about AI at Pythian, we are using AI in numerous different places. So we use AI that is embedded in the tools. So for example, in Jira or in Confluence or in Loom, there is AI that is part of those systems. But we are also using AI features in other systems, right? With Google applications, our BI solution, our HR tool, our CRM tool. And on top of AI being built in all those tools and embedded in those tools, we're using the enterprise search that is powered by Rovo to address some of the needs or features that are not available through the individual AI functionalities within those tools. So this is kind of to set the stage about Pythian as a global company. We are work from home company. So we have hybrid environments. Some employees come to the office, most of them work from home, 24/7 customer support, 24/7 time zone, pretty much all over the world of our employees. It's a distributed network of employees. Obviously distributed network of applications as well. So to get to that is to set the stage. So to now move on to what kind of problem are we trying to fix for Pythian and why are we talking about Rovo Search today? This is the current problem that we face. Like we have a lot of applications and a lot of information stored in multiple places, but individually people feel like they have less information available to them than years ago, right? Like the amount of information that flows through us, we feel overwhelmed. We feel like there's too much going on. And I'm pretty sure that you have similar experience. So like, why is this a problem? So here's an example. Imagine a situation that probably many of you experience this. You're in meetings all day long. You respond to text messages all day long. You answer emails. You meet with people. You write documents. At the end of the day, you want to access a piece of information that you met with or you were exposed to sometime during that day. And now you don't remember if this was a conversation, if this was an email, maybe this was a chat message, but you need this piece of information. Let's say it's a financial piece of information for you to move forward or for you to make a decision about something, right? And so the challenge is now you don't know where that piece is. You need to look back and think through what you've done through that day to figure out where you may have encountered that piece of information and where to get it from. And so this is not only my problem, and as I imagine your problem, this is a problem for many companies, right? Atlassian did some research, and they come up with this assessment that a huge amount of hours for large companies is spent searching for information. The information is there, but people don't know where it was placed, who placed it, where it was saved, and basically how to find it. That's the biggest challenge. So Rovo Search or Enterprise Search is the answer to it. And that's why it's such a hot topic these days, because this is a real problem for many companies. Not being able to find information individual after individual, day after day, means we are not as productive as we could be if we had that information at our fingertips. So let's talk about the Enterprise Search. Rovo is an Atlassian product that was released early this year. It's now being embedded in all of Atlassian applications, Jira, JSM, and Confluence. Rovo has 3 parts to it. There's a Rovo Search, which I'm going to be talking about extensively. Then there's Rovo Chat. I have some slides at the end of this presentation to show you how search and chat are different. And then we also have Rovo Agents, which can do yet more things than the search and chat combined. So I'll take you through, we'll focus on the Rovo Search and how Pythian is using search, but I will also show you what else we are doing with the other Rovo products. So Rovo Search was created to help find information that is buried in the applications. Before I talk about Rovo, I just want to kind of take a step back and talk about what is enterprise search, like what are we talking about here, right? So all of us are using internet. When you're looking for information on the internet, you use a web browser, regardless if it's a Chrome or Firefox or Safari or any other browser. You type in what you're looking for, and you would normally, before the recent change with AI, you would normally get a list of pages that match your keywords of the information you're looking for. When you think about enterprise search, it's kind of a similar concept, except it's not on the internet, not on the web pages, it's on your applications. So it's an interface that gives you an ability to interrogate or ask questions or get information from any of the corporate applications you're going to plug into it. So like this is big. This is a major change. Like previously, if you wanted to find any information, you needed to go to your Gmail to look for emails. You needed to go to your chat system to look for chat messages. You needed to go to your Google Documents or Confluence to look for that information. You had to go to that application to find this information. Now, with the enterprise search, and that's not only Atlassian product, there are different other companies doing it. So this concept of enterprise search, it's a translatable concept between technologies. The enterprise search allows a company to plug in specific applications, the company applications, to it, so that when you're doing a search, you're searching for data stored in those applications. The beauty of this solution is there are few things. So not only now you have the one single interface to ask a question and get the answers without needing to know where that piece of information is, but the other values of that is it preserves user permissions, right? That's always one of the first things that people ask. So if I don't have access to a Google document, but I use enterprise search to look for information about some concepts that are stored in the document, enterprise search will not return those results to me because I don't have access to the underlying document. But if I do, it will, right? So it seamlessly takes the permissions from the underlying applications, exposes those permissions to enterprise search, and then makes sure that with the answers you get, the results that you get, match your permissions in the original source system. So that's one fantastic, amazing an absolutely needed functionality of enterprise search concept. But the other thing is, you're not only getting a list of results as you would when you were searching the internet and you get a list of web pages and you had to scroll through them and figure out which one is the one that you want to look at. The biggest difference with the enterprise search that it also uses AI to summarize the findings. So you no longer have to search through every single document to find the answer to what you're looking for. You get the summary that tells you this is the answer to your question, and then also shows you references to the documents that it found to answer your question. And the biggest element, I guess, that it's the biggest changes, you're no longer using keywords. You're using prompts and use natural language to ask questions. So this is no longer a match on keywords. It's a match on the concept that you're looking for. So why is this big? So it's big because you get all of the Atlassian applications out of the box plugged into this engine. You don't have to do anything. It literally enables Rovo, and you get data stored in any of those applications and gets exposed to the enterprise search. On top of it, Atlassian has about 50 add-ons to third-party applications that you can plug in to your system. At Pythian, we plugged in about 7 different applications, which means data from those applications becomes also available in this enterprise search. I hope you're starting to grasp the concept of like the impact of an enterprise search. Like this is the way to go. Like when some of you who are as old as I am remember when the internet started, and before the search engine was available, you had to know the URL of the page you were looking for in order to open it. With the browser functionality, it exposed the ability for you to find the content, the web pages, without knowing what the URL is. The enterprise search is a similar revolution. It will allow you to find information within your company without knowing where that information is stored, which system that information is sitting in. Not only that, so it's not only exposure of information that is available in those applications, but the Rovo Search is aware of the teamwork graph. So what does teamwork graph means? It means that it's aware of who you are, who you work with, what tickets you work with, what stuff is important to you, and it starts connecting other pieces of items that are relevant to it. So when I ask a question, my answer will be different than my colleague because their concept or their context, their role is different at the company. So not only you're getting the summary of what you're looking for, but it's tailored to what you're looking for, to who you are, to your function at the company. I'll show you some examples of the enterprise search, and then I'll pause. If there will be any questions, I'll answer them, and then I will show you some real life examples. So just to kind of anchor you a little bit in, okay, what are we talking about? Like, we're really talking about a search bar where you type your questions and you start getting your answers. So the functionality is very similar to any browser search window where you type in what you're looking for and you start getting the answers. The answers that you're going to get on your right hand side here in the screenshot, you can see that you can pick which applications the engine is going to search through. You can choose, pick and choose, or enable or disable them. So you don't always have to look through all of them at the same time. You can select, like, for example, if you know you're only looking for Confluence documents for whatever reason, then you can select and say, I only want results coming from Confluence. But you can, obviously, the most efficient searches across all of your documents. So it will give you a summary of that information. But in addition to that, it will also give you some contextual information. So you can use natural language to ask things like, who is this person? Especially in large organizations organizations that deal with a lot of customers, you may not necessarily know that information may not be available to you. So you can use natural language to ask the question. You're going to get a summary that summarizes that person's role or responsibilities that are coming from those systems that are plugged into it. You can also tag a particular person. So if you are looking for information that you know that mentioned a person or was created by a particular person, you can tag that person and you can find information for strategy that mentioned that a given person. So before I move into Pythian examples, just a quick recap. So Rovo allows you to search across all of your connected work applications. Rovo is secure. So the biggest thing about companies adopting AI, especially with the Chat GPT and a few other applications available out there, the biggest problem for our company and for many companies is the security of the information. You don't want the information from your company to be added to large language models and be reused publicly, right? Like this is your proprietary information that it's private to your company. You don't want to share it. With implementing Rovo, you're getting that security. So your data stays yours. It's never exposed to the internet. It's never exposed to other AI systems. It uses an AI engine underneath, but that an engine never stores your information. It stays your private information, and it's not shared with anyone. And obviously, the value of being able to search the information using a natural language, it's absolutely fantastic. You can describe what you're looking for, and AI is able to pick up the context, the nuances of what you're looking for, and return those results. And obviously, Rovo can be used, because of that, can be used across the company. And I'll show you some examples at Pythian how we are doing that. So I'll pause here for a second. If there are any questions, Kate, I could take them now.
Yes, we have got a first question from Peter. So it's about assets in Jira Service Management. So do you use assets? And if so, do you search it with Rovo? Rovo agents still don't have direct access to asset objects, if I'm not mistaken.
So yes, we search assets through Rovo Search. We use assets to track our hardware assets. So every of our employees has a monitor and a laptop and a keyboard and a few other things. And our IT team needs to track who has which laptops, how old they are, when they need to be refreshed, like when to ship a new laptop to an employee, what specs do they have. So that's how we use assets, Jira assets. So we basically track all of those assets in the assets database, and we use it to return searches. So we can search for information, for example, how old is the laptop that this given person has, right? If our IT team is looking for particular information. We are planning to also use assets for our customer assets inventory. That's kind of an implementation right now, in an implementation phase. But yes, so the search is capable of returning some of the information from the assets. Yeah, we'll talk about the agents. I think that's an interesting one. I have some slides at the end as well.
Okay, thank you. So we don't have more questions now. Of course, you can still put them on chat or on Q&A section. So I think that we can go on with some examples.
Awesome. So this is the exciting part. I will tell you how the sausage is made, as in how we are doing it ourselves. To give you some ideas, we did several proof of concepts of different enterprise search engines in 2024. We settled on selecting Rovo. The reason why we selected Rovo is because it's an embedded solution. With our company using Jira and Atlassian products so extensively, it was a very natural tool for us to select to enable enterprise search, because out of this, the list of apps that I'm listing here that Rovo is connected to, half of them came out of the box connected to enterprise search because it's an Atlassian product, right? So you don't need to connect Jira and Confluence and Loom. It's available right then and there as soon as you start using Rovo. The only things that we did connect to Rovo was Google Drive. We are Google Shop, so we use Google applications instead of Microsoft applications. So documents, sheets, slides, all of those assets available in Google Drive are available in enterprise search through Rovo. Gmail is connected. Our chat tool is still connected. There are some market changes happening right now. So I didn't necessarily mention the name, but anyway, our chat tool is connected to it. Our BI solution is connected to it in our CRM. So when you think about company of our size, mid-size enterprise, and even larger and smaller too, you have pretty much equivalent of those applications in your organization, right? You have some sort of a shared drive where you store documents. You have some sort of either Microsoft or Google or otherwise applications to create documents. You have email system, you have some sort of a chat tool, you may have CRM and BI tools. Obviously, all of those systems have a lot of information that you may want to expose to the enterprise search. And in our example, that's what we did. This is how it looks. So this is a screenshot of my web browser. So when I open my Chrome, this is my home page. For those of you who may have a Chrome homepage, like a Google search engine, this kind of the feel, it's a very similar. Instead of searching the internet, you get this search option that basically searches through your applications, through your company applications. So those are two options. You can have it as a Chrome browser extension. That's how it looks like. Or you can have it embedded in your Jira application. And this is an old screenshot. The layout changed recently, but the idea is the same. You have your search option in the middle there, and you can start searching. So how do we use this at Pythian? I'll take you through a few scenarios. So imagine a new employee is joining a company. Obviously, when a new employee is joining a company, there's a lot of information that they need to understand or learn to be able to be a productive team member. One of the first things are basics, right? They ask information like, when can I take time off? What kind of time off can I take? What is a paid time off versus not paid time off? Or they may have any other information, questions about other information. Normally, that would mean that they would have to ask people for that information. They would have to find someone who they would select to find out what's happening or who has that information. So not only they would have to first find who they need to talk to, but then they would have to get that information from that person. So not only takes time for that new employee to look for it, but also employees that are currently at your company spending their time answering those one-off questions every single time a new person joins the company. How is enterprise search helping with that? I'll show you a slide that kind of shows this in action. So let's see, this employee is basically typing in their question, what's a time off policy? Not only they get documents listed underneath, but they also get the summary from enterprise search that summarizes that information of what they're looking for. So imagine this alone saved 10-15 minutes of that new hire, not only for that person, but also the person that was answering question. On top of it, you can do a follow-up question. So, okay, how do I book that time off? Like what are the steps they need to take to be able to book the time off in a system? And again, the system, Rovo Search provides those answers. So what's fantastic about this example is that it's a very intuitive thing to use. It behaves the same way as if you would ask your colleague the information. And the beauty of it is this takes less than a minute to get all the answers without trying to find out who has the answers, or without having to search through documents, trying to read through all of them. So that was the first example. So imagine this employee got their basic information. Now they know where they can book the time off and how much time they have, and they found out information about all kinds of other basic policies. So now they're joining a team. In order to be a productive team member, they need to understand what the team is working on. They need to understand what projects are in progress. They need to know where they can jump in, what knowledge they need to pick up on before being able to start supporting a customer or even an internal project. So a similar situation here. An employee can interact with a Rovo Search, can ask the question, what was done on this project so far? And Rovo is able to pick up that information across multiple systems and again provide a summary of what's been going on that project. What are the phases, who've been working on it, what's been done so far, with the reference documents available underneath. So now our employee not only has the basic information, understands what they're supposed to work on, and they have the context of what they're supposed to work on, but now they're equipped with basically most of the information they need to have. But they may stumble upon a situation like, okay, so I know this is the project, but I don't really know who I'm talking to about this project. Like, who are the people that I'm interacting with? What's their background? Like, who are the subject matter experts if I have any questions, if I want to have a conversation with a human? So similarly to the previous examples, literally the question is being typed in, summarize the relationship between Pythian and people in this project to give us an idea what's happening, right? Like, who are the key people? Who are the... Sorry, looks like this is the snag in my presentation. Looks like the video got replaced. But anyway, you get the point. At the bottom there is, I don't know if you saw it, this summarizes the relationship. The previous slide had a summary of like who are the key personnel and what their background is. So that's kind of where we're going with it. So the beauty of this is the quick access to information without having to involve other humans, so that a person that's looking for information gets that much more productive. Few other use cases. The first one, imagine you're going on vacation, you're coming back, and you have tons of communication that was sent your way, and you're trying to read through. Basically, for every week you take off, it feels like you need to work extra week to catch up on what happened during your vacation. Well, not anymore with enterprise search. You type in literally, what have I missed? Or provide me the recap of all of the communication that happened during the last week. And you get the summary of who I was asking for what kind of decisions were made, what kind of tickets were worked on. You get that within seconds so that you can start moving on and be productive with the next steps. Another use case that we're using at Pythian is we need to create a new proposal. We have a lot of customers coming in and saying, we would like you to do this, fix this, build this. As a data analytics and AI company, a lot of those problems or a lot of those requests are very similar. They're repetitive from one client to another. So when we create a proposal, rather than starting from scratch every single time, wouldn't it be fantastic if we could start by combining information that we already have in the system, getting it summarized, and have that being our starting point for the next proposal? So that's what's happening here as well. You can basically say, find all of the proposals that mention this particular technology or this particular solution, Rovo is able to summarize them with reference points to the documents that it found, and you are able to that much faster start with your new proposal. And a few other use cases, but there's plenty of those across the company. But another one that I wanted to highlight, you're starting your day, but you don't know like what are the deadlines, what do you absolutely have to do today, and what are things that are blocking you or you are blocking other people with. Having Rovo quickly summarize that to give you an idea of what is your day supposed to look like gives you a peace of mind that you're not missing anything, right? It gives you a summary of what's happening in the tickets, what's happening in other chat messages, what's happening in your email, so that you know basically where to start your day and what you need to accomplish by the end of the day. So we found on average, and that's a very early preliminary implementation, like mind you, we implemented Rovo in January of this year, so 2025. We did a lot of training at the beginning. We kind of started using fully across the whole company probably in March-ish. So now it's June, so we're talking about 3 months of working. At the minimum, it saved about 20 minutes a day per employee, just from searching for information. So take that, how many days in a month, how many days in a year. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars saved for a company by implementing or by using Rovo Search, right? This is enabling employees to get the information faster so that they can do other more meaningful things instead. So pause here. If there are any questions, I'll answer them, and then I'll talk about the lessons learned and then what I see happening next in the ecosystem, what I think we will be doing next, what are the exciting next ideas happening for us.
So we have got 2 questions. So the first one is from Gerben. I have to go, but one question I have, if it's possible to categorize the type of customer questions we get in Jira Service Management, to example, get a top 10 of most common questions.
It is. And so what we found, Rovo Search is more, it's better at finding and summarizing information. If you want some interesting analysis, I would use Rovo Agents for that, because then you can specify very clearly what are your criteria, right? Like, what do you mean most frequent? Like, do you mean most frequent across all of the customers, most frequent per customer? So Rovo Agent would probably be the next step enhancement to do this. I would recommend to use that, because in Rovo Search you may get a summary of those most frequent tickets. You may not get additional information that you may be looking for, like frequency or the amount or which customers this is happening for and so on.
Okay, thank you. And we have got one more question from Kari. Should Rovo Search appear the same in Confluence and Jira? We turned Rovo on in both products, but when using the search in Jira, it's not functioning like the search in Confluence does. For example, we don't have the option to search all apps in Jira as we do in Confluence when we click the search bar. Also, when we enter text into the search bar and click enter, we have the ability to filter my search in Confluence, but not Jira. It just takes us to search work items page.
That's bizarre. So that interface, let me see if I can quickly find that slide. So we are on the slide. Just make sure I didn't lose it. 41. So I'll show you my interface again. So this is a Chrome extension, Chrome browser extension. I would recommend using that, because then you don't have to be in Confluence or in Jira to run your queries. And that just feels more natural. Like you come in and you just ask it no matter which system you are. This is the interface that you get when you hit those 9 dots on the left top corner, and that's where you get the whole menu, the Atlassian menu, and that's where Rovo Search will show up. That's the search that it's neither in Jira nor in Confluence. This is kind of like an interface on top of it. You should be getting the same results. My experience is actually that Rovo. So in the slide where I was showing that there's an AI functionality built in all of the tools. So remember that Jira also has its own AI tools built in the product. So for example, when you go to do a search for tickets in Jira, you can switch to AI and you can type in what you're looking for, and then AI will convert that to a JQL query. That's not Rovo. That's an AI functionality inside Jira that does not search all of the applications that are plugged into it. Similar in Confluence, there is a search window on top right corner. When you type information there, that's not Rovo. It's not going to search through your application. It's just going to use natural language to search through your Confluence documentation, right? So any marketplace applications like Jira, Confluence, Google Documents, they have AI that it's embedded inside of them, but their functionality is limited to that application that they are operating within. That is not the enterprise search functionality that it's able to gather information from all of the applications. So I hope I answered that question.
I guess yes. Thank you. And we have got one more question from Mike. I'm curious if you have run into any limitations accessing information or data within macros, specifically with context formatting add-ons. If so, were you able to work around it or find a resolution?
So content formatting macros in Confluence don't. So do you mean like looking for Rovo information from inside of those applications outside of the add-ons?
Yes,
So that's
yes. Mike.
yeah, okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is an interesting one. So Rovo natively searches through native Jira information or Confluence information. And a third-party data, it's not stored the same way as Jira native data, right? So for example, we use Tempo for time logging. That is not part of results that Rovo Search was returning, at least at the beginning. I know that that is changing, but yes, at the beginning we ran into problems that any third-party applications that were plugged in to Atlassian ecosystem were not exposing the data the same way as the native Atlassian data was available in the search. I've seen that changing. I don't know what's involved. We didn't make any configuration changes, but I've seen some of the data being exposed. So I think that's just because the maturity of the product that's changing. And I hope at the end of the day, all of the third-party applications that are plugged in to Atlassian ecosystem would expose its data to Rovo. That would be ideal. But I understand that there are some dependencies of where the data is being stored, the permissions and all those things. So it probably also depends. And you guys can talk more about this, Kate and Philip, about the applications infrastructure, right? Because there may be some limitations coming from that and how to expose.
It's a very good question, especially that we have got apps which are built on two different platforms, Connect and Forge. And in case of Forge, it's stored on the Atlassian side. So our logic says that it should be able to search for this data. But honestly speaking, we haven't checked it. So I will talk with our developers and I will come back to you, Mike, because it's a very good question. In case of Tempo, I know that this app is built on Connect platform, so definitely it's a third party app. In case of Forge apps, I think that I need to check.
Awesome.
So I will come back also with this answer. This is a very good question. Thanks. Okay, I think that we can go to challenges and lessons learned.
Awesome. So this is the exciting part. So what have we learned Rovo, when it's enabled, automatically get access to the Atlassian documentation or the information stored in Atlassian. That's why we selected it, because out of the box was addressing more than 50% of what we needed it to address. More than 50% of our data is stored in Atlassian ecosystem, so that was an easy pick. Connecting third-party applications like Slack or Google Drive, I mentioned that some other place, it literally took less than an hour to do that. The interface is very straightforward. You don't need an engineering degree to do it. You just need administrative permissions on those systems to be able to do it. So we obviously worked with our IT ops team to be able to plug those systems. But as soon as they plugged in, they work seamlessly. The system needs to take a few minutes to digest the information, depends how much data you have. And then literally within hours, you're ready to go. The challenges. So people have hard time understanding what AI can be used for and how to interact with it. So the training on prompt engineering, right? How do you write your query to get the answers you're looking for? Sometimes you need to change some words. Sometimes you need to provide more context. So we provided a training on that. That was kind of a critical piece for us to get started. We discovered that having department-specific use cases and training is very important, because each department, take HR and sales, they use products in completely different ways, and they had a hard time kind of understanding how those use cases could be translated across the board. So the way we did this is we provided company-wide training. We provided company-wide basic prompt engineering training so that everyone can get started with those two basics. And then we followed up with the department's specific use cases and training. We also share on a regular basis, what can I do with Rovo, through our internal newsletter, so that we want people creative juices to start going. So we sharing ideas of, hey, look at what I did this week with Rovo. Hey, look what I did next week with Rovo, so that people can start understanding what's possible to do in Rovo and how to use it. And obviously, a biggest one, start using Rovo yourself, right? Like if you don't use it, your team doesn't use it, it's hard to convince other people that this is a product to use. So in our case, my team was the first team that actually was challenged to start using it on a daily basis to see what we can get out of it. And at the end, you want to measure your success, right? You want to know where you started. You want to know if what you're doing makes a difference, if you're going in the right direction. So surveys, number of applications that are plugged in, number of searches that were done, those are all good measuring success items. What's next? So Rovo Search, as I mentioned at the beginning of this call, is one of the three elements of Rovo. Rovo has Rovo Search, the second one is Rovo Chat, and the third one is Rovo Agents. So how is a chat different from search? So the search is more of a, I'm looking for a piece of information, summarize the information that I'm looking for from multiple places and just give me a gist of what's going on. Rovo Chat is more of an interactive experience. If for those of you who try ChatGPT, it's the same idea. You basically ask a question and you have a follow-up question, and then you have a follow-up question. So it allows you to have like a conversation continuing the same context, right? So this was an information I was, my boss wants me to go to India. That's an actual example. So I was like wondering, okay, well, what's the best time for me to go to India? And that information, which is also interesting, this is not company-specific information. Rovo also has access to public domain knowledge. So when you're asking a question, you're not only getting an answer based on the information stored within your company, you also get some, if you ask a question, how much is 2 + 2? You're going to get that answer as well, because that answer is available in the internet. So that information, the first answer came from the global knowledge, right? October to March is the best time. Oh, interesting. So then I ask a follow-up question. Okay, well, what activities are happening between October and March in India? I got an answer. And then the next question was, I was like, wait a second, am I able to travel at that time to India? Like, what are the projects that are assigned to me in that time? So this is where you bring the corporate context, right? This is where the documents that and your calendar and all of the information that was plugged into Rovo makes a difference. Because now Rovo is actually able to tell me, wait a second, you actually have 3 projects that you scheduled at that time frame. You may want to consider if this is the right time for you to travel, right? So this is like almost like a discovery interactive experience with chat. Again, that's out of the box available in Atlassian ecosystem. Definitely recommend using it. Like pretty much as soon as you use search, chat is the next product that you will be using. And then Rovo Agents. This is the big change that it's happening. So some search and chat finds the information and summarizes the information for you. Agents are able to be more precise of what you're trying to do. So agents have personality in a sense of you can think about them as your mini employees. You can tell them what their job is and what the scope of work they're supposed to deliver. They have almost like job descriptions, and then you can ask them to do things within their job description. We don't have much time to talk about this. I could talk about this for ages, but just to give you a few examples of what agents can do. So you can create an agent to, I think Mike was asking that question, and this would be a perfect example of creating an agent. Create an agent that, this is how we're using it at Pythian. Find tickets similar to the ticket that came in and tell me how those tickets were resolved in the past so that my human agent can have that resolution in front of them and can just perform those steps faster, right? You kind of need to start easy with the agents. Don't build an agent that does everything all at once, because it's going to be really hard to troubleshoot that. It's going to be really hard to maintain that agent. So in this example, first agent finds tickets similar to the ticket that we were working on and gives you a list. Let's say the problem was like, how do I cut an apple? And it finds other tickets where mention apples and them being cut and prepared and whatever. The next step would be, from those tickets that were found and considered similar to my ticket, find a resolution, like find what was the fastest way to resolve the problem. And an agent is able to analyze the comments and tickets, summarize what happened, and then possibly provide the right resolution. You may want to tweak the agent, depends on the resolution comes up. Like agents are kind of a little bit of a like a dog, in a sense of they don't understand all of the instructions. You need to be a bit precise and clear and kind of spell out some things that divide them into multiple subtasks, but nevertheless, it's able to do that. And then ideally, where I want to go with this is I want to create an agent that will be able to perform L0 tasks. What I mean by L0 is normally when a ticket comes in, our level 1 team performs the basics, troubleshooting and maintenance. And then if they cannot solve the problem, then they send it to L2 or a level 3 more senior agents. Ideally, the Rovo AI agents should be able to perform L0 tasks. They should be able to find possible solution to a problem. They should propose the solution to a human. The human should be able to say, yes, you can apply it, or no, you cannot. And then the agent should be able to do an API call and make change, like restart the server or add users to the database, or few of the basic things. So anyway, this is the exciting part where we're going with. I believe that's kind of it from me when it comes to giving you a preview of Rovo Search, as well as chat and agents. If there are any other questions, Kate, I could answer them.
Thank you. Of course, we have got question about very important thing, money. So, do you have any concerns about Atlassian's future consumption-based pricing model for Rovo, chat, and agent use, specifically exceeding AI credits and incurring unexpected licensing charges?
So I don't have the details because I don't represent necessarily Atlassian, but I know that is the idea, that you get certain limits of documents or pieces of information that can be digested by Rovo based on the number of user licenses that you have. And if you exceed those, there will be possibly some additional charges. This is not any different from any other big player doing it. This is exactly how every other player does it. You get certain stuff, certain amount for free, and then any additional changes, questions, documents, there will be a minimal charge to it that will be paid for it. I think that's the reality. Like at the end of the day, what it means every time we run a question, we're using a server, we're using power, we're using some resources, right? So the companies are trying to share the functionality without necessarily losing money themselves on it. So I don't necessarily have more details on that. That would be a question for the Atlassian rep, but I know that that's the idea, that certain amount of queries is free, and then exceeding amounts are going to be paid for.
Okay, thank you very much, Kasia. I don't see more questions. So if you have anything else, please put it on chat now, because we are slightly going to finish our session. I would like to say thank you, Kasia, for this presentation. It was really, really insightful, and I'm very happy that it was extended version of your presentation during Atlassian Team in Anaheim, because I know that you didn't have so much time for this presentation. So today we had a chance to see more and to talk more about how you use Rovo in your organization, and it's very insightful because it's a real case from real customer. So it's definitely good to listen such presentation. I don't see more questions in Q&A section, also on chat. So I think that we can finish our session for today. As I mentioned on chat, I will publish this recording today on our apps via YouTube. I will send email with link to all our participants and also people who registered for the session. So everyone will have chance to see this session. And of course, you can find Kasia on LinkedIn. If you have any more questions or some topics for discussion, I'm pretty sure that she will reply. And I hope that we will meet during Atlassian Team 25 in Barcelona with all of you. And definitely it will be a lot of topics about Rovo, I'm sure.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for putting this session together.
Thank you very much, and have a nice evening, day, depends where you are now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.